So the new One Piece chapter is pretty wild because Saturn of the Gorosei is being straight up killed off here, and he's being replaced by Figureland Garling, aka Shanks' dad. Yes, pretty wild development. So let's break down how this happened. So we see the Navy about to leave Egghead, and Saturn is talking to the 9 Vice Admirals there. And he's like, we've obtained the things we needed. We got York, we got Punk Records, we got the power plant. You know, with these things, we can make the Mother Flame. So everything's fine for now. And then the Vice Admirals are like, oh, sorry, Saturn. We failed. We let Luffy and Bonnie escape. We'll go right after them to Elbaf right now. And Saturn's like, nah, it's fine. Just leave Elbaf alone for now. Which is pretty interesting, but also lines up with the incompetence of the Gorosei, especially Saturn, who seems to be the most incompetent of them. But there also is probably like a strategic reason to not go after Elbaf, similar to why they weren't going after Wano. But he's like, however, Vegapunk's broadcast getting out was a huge failure. And then the Vice Admiral Doberman there, he's like, speaking of that, Saint Saturn, if you consider Vegapunk's broadcast getting out to be a failure, then does that mean that it was the truth? Which is like a fair question, of course. And Saturn just looks at him and pops him in the head with his devil fruit ? Ability. You know that thing where he like stares at you and shoots you in the head? It's kind of like the thing that he did in his debut when he first transformed. He also did it to Sanji, but he does it hardcore to Doberman here, for speaking out and saying that Vegapunk's message could have even been true, which obviously it is. And I thought that this would have just straight up killed Doberman, but no, he's kind of just getting hit and knocked out, I guess, because the other Vice Admirals are like, go wake up the medical team, Vice Admiral, sir. So I'm assuming that Doberman's going to survive this, and it's like, why does he need to survive this? It's like, just have Saturn kill him. Who cares about this character? But that's kind of like Saturn's last despicable act, because we're cutting away from that sequence and we're going to the Room of Authority in Mary Joie, like where the Gorosei hang out. And suddenly, Figureland Garling walks into the room and he's dressed like a Gorosei. And the Gorosei are looking at him and they're like, what are you doing, Garling? Because while Garling is the leader of the Holy Knights, he is still like an underling to the Gorosei, because the Gorosei are referred to as the highest authority in the world. So naturally, even somebody like Garling has to be subservient to them. So they're confused by this. And he's like, just now, I was given an order to come. And they're like, whoa, Garling, chill out, bro. Where's your manners? He doesn't even respond to that. He's just like, the Vegapunk York will from here on out report directly to me, because now I'm the new warrior god of science and defense. And of course, that was Saturn's title in the Gorosei, because we know the Gorosei are all referred to as like the warrior god of whatever. But now that Garling has this title, York will work under him along with the Seraphims, who York controls, and also, the Gorosei do as well. And the Seraphims are in fact being recovered in the beginning of this chapter, so they do have them now. And then the other Gorosei are like confused, they're like, wait, what? Couldn't be. And going further, Garling's like, the state of the world is in shambles, and it's probably going to experience a lot of unprecedented amount of turmoil. So let's make the world a better place together, my fellow elders. And he sits down and he crosses his right leg over his knee, just like how Aka Inu sat down back in the Marineford arc, which is interesting. However, Aka Inu had like his foot pointed downwards, as to where Garling has his foot pointed upwards. And knowing Oda, it's not just a coincidence, he's trying to tell us something here. And it goes back to what I've been saying for a while now, and it's that these are the real evil bad guys, and they are 100% on board with whatever's going on with the Celestial Dragons and Emu, as to where Aka Inu and the rest of the admirals, and pretty much by proxy the rest of the Navy, are kind of like literally fighting for what they believe is right, and that once they figure out what's going on with Emu and everything, they will turn for sure. As to where Garling won't, because he is just full-blown Celestial Dragon psychopath. But first, let's talk about the sponsor of this video, Hovsco, because I just picked up their Hov Alpha 26-inch electric fat tire bike, and this thing is absolutely incredible. It's probably my favorite possession. Just looking at it, it's incredibly aesthetic, but it also has a 1300 watt motor with a high capacity integrated battery that gives you a range of up to 80 miles per charge. It also has a max speed of 28 miles per hour, as as well as a 450-pound payload capacity, along with an intuitive LCD digital panel, front suspension, hydraulic disc brakes, a Shimano 7-speed shifter, a headlight and a tail light, as well as a solid aluminum crankset. It also has this really cool thumb throttle that allows you to just cruise without having to pedal. Like I said, this thing is incredible. I feel so safe on the road with it, and it's so powerful. It easily blasts through hills and incline and goes through rough terrain and the forest like it's nothing. That's one of the main reasons why I wanted to get it, because it's kind of difficult to go through trails and unpaved roads with traditional bikes. I also don't own a car, considering that I live downtown in the city. I don't have to deal with like car insurance and parking and mechanics and any of that stuff. You just get around no problem with this bad boy. And now is the best time to get your Hofsco Hov Alpha because of Hofsco's back to school sale, where you can save up to $500. And if you use my code BIGZ, you'll get an extra $100 off your Hofsco Hov Alpha purchase. This sale is only running until September 9th, so get it while you can, guys. Thanks. But after this, we see Saturn back at Egghead drop to his knees, and suddenly these black flames and smoke are coming from him, and he's like choking. And then he just starts like getting wrinkly and aging faster, and like more and more smoke and flames are coming from him, and all the Vice Admirals like, oh my god, what's going on? And then Saturn hears Emu talking to him through telepathy, like how the Gorosei were communicating with each other. And Emu's like, Saturn, why did you let Joy Boy escape? And Saturn says, please take mercy on me, to think that he would have such an elusive power. And then just boom, there's an explosion, and Saturn is just reduced to a skeleton, and he drops to the ground, and that's it. He's dead. This is like one of the most concrete deaths I think we've ever seen in One Piece. And I'm surprised by this, to be honest. I didn't think that Saturn would die until the end, because I thought all the Gorosei were going to be like some of the final opponents of the Straw Hats, but this is exciting, and it makes sense because Garling is awesome, despite us not knowing much about him and only seeing him in like 2 or 3 chapters. I'm going to assume that he is now probably the strongest Gorosei member, because we have seen the Gorosei fight in Egghead along with their transformations, and while they're pretty strong, they weren't blowing me away with their displays of strength like the way that Kaido was in Wano, for example. And considering that Garling was like the leader of the Holy Knights and implied to be Shanks' father, he's probably unbelievably powerful. He might be the strongest character that the world government has next to Emu at this point. And speaking of that, now that he is a Gorosei, I assume that Emu is going to give him the same type of powers that they gave to the rest of the Gorosei, because as we've seen, the way that Emu killed Saturn means that the powers that Saturn has was obviously given by Emu, like the immortality, the telepathy, the regeneration, the summoning portals, and possibly even his devil fruit or yokai transformation. Now, how does Emu know how to do all that stuff? It still remains to be seen. It either has to do with Emu's devil fruit or whatever yokai thing that they have, or whatever kind of alien haki that they have possibly, or some kind of ancient level of power that we're just not familiar with yet. Kind of like magic that's adjacent to haki or something. But like I said, it seems like they're just going to give this to Garling as well. I don't know if Garling is going to get a transformation. I don't know if Garling already has a devil fruit, but at the minimum, I'm assuming he's going to have the telepathy, the teleporting, and the regeneration. But yeah, let me know what you think about this development in the comments, guys. So excited. This is the most excited I've been in months with One Piece. So let me know in the comments, and if you liked it, please give it a like, and please subscribe if you haven't already. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.